So in the last tutorial we took a look at the switch statement. So let's go ahead now and look at a way of receiving user input through a GUI label and allowing it to switch to different options based on the input. So what we need is a couple of variables. So we have a numerical value to switch from, and let's go ahead and remove this value for now, and we'll change it up later. So let's go ahead and create a variable that's a string, and let's just call it password. Okay, and let's give it a string value. Now let's make it equal to the word hello. So we have a very simple password. Okay, and let's go ahead and create a variable called input string. And again, this is going to be the string data type. And we're going to actually save these off. And then let's make one called private variable, because I don't want it to be able to change in the Unity interface. So let's make a private variable. And again, private variables will not appear in the Unity interface, not like global. And let's just call this one save string. Okay? And private variable, save string, and it's of the string data type. Now I want you to notice that input string is a pre-made variable that's located within Unity, and what it allows us to do is actually receive input from the user, but we still have to define it as a string. Okay? Looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and create our label. So let's create a function, and let's call this on GUI, as we already know, open close parentheses, and then we'll copy in our switch statement later. So we want to go ahead and assign input string a value. So what we're going to do is we're just going to say input string equals GUI dot text area, and all this does is a text area just creates a box in our window that allows us to input text. Okay, and we want to save that text, whatever that's typed in there, into a variable, and we already have this input variable. Okay, and I want to introduce a couple other things. So we can do the x is 3, so let's go ahead and do that. The y is 3. Now I wanted to also introduce you to something new, which are pre-made variables that are within Unity, and they're not hard to understand. So for example, say I want my my box to always be the width of my screen. So I always want this this text area to always be the width and the height of my screen. Well, it's actually really easy to do in Unity. All you have to write is screen dot, and screen is a class, and that's evident because I'm able to access a parameter of the screen class by just typing screen dot width. And then I can also say screen dot height. Okay, comma input string. And so what this is saying is input string here, so there's two parameters to this text area, the size and then what kind of text is going to go in here. So right now we can actually type within that text box, and it'll actually by typing input string, it'll allow us to actually type within it. If we do not have input string here, it will not allow us to type within the text box. So what we're doing is we're going to say that we're going to use this parameter called input string that allows us to type within the text box. And so anything we type in there, it'll actually store it within this input string variable. Okay, so let's go ahead and put a semicolon there. And let's go ahead and create a couple clickable buttons that will store off sort of the values. So let's go ahead and do if GUI. So let's go ahead and create a button. GUI.button. Let's put in our parameters. And let's go ahead and just say enter password here. Okay, so remember we have the X, Y, and width and height, right? So let's kind of get a little bit creative here, right? So let's say that we want our screen width to be the complete width, but we want it to be like we want to give ourselves a little bit of a border around the edges. We can actually just write screen.width minus 6, and what this will do is it'll subtract 6 from the width of our screen. And so screen.height, we can actually subtract 36. And the reason why I'm doing this is because I want to give myself a little bit of space at the bottom so I can drop my buttons in. Okay? So with that said, we have 6 here and then we have 36 here. What we can do is we're going to have to do a little bit of creative math here in order to place our button exactly where it needs to go. So instead of having to find the value within the screen, we can actually write rect screen dot width divided by 3 plus 3. And I actually want you to try to do screen.width divided by 6 as well, just so you can see the difference between having 3 plus 3 in there or 6. Okay? And then we're going to do screen dot height divided by, actually we can just subtract, let's say 30 from that, minus 30. Okay, and I want you to sort of test to see why I'm doing it this way and this way on your own. And let's see, what else can we do here? So I set my X to the screen.width divided by 3 plus 3, and I set my the X in the Y position. So let's go ahead and do the width and the height of this button. So let's go ahead and divide that up so that we don't forget. And let's just go ahead and just copy this. Screen.width divided by 3. So as you can imagine, if I can create a button that its height is just a third of the width of the height. So we have our position, which is going to be placed down here. And I'm looking at the screen width, and I'm dividing that by 3, so my button will sit actually a third of the way. Okay? And then I want to set the position to 30, or the height. So we have our X, our Y, and then we have our width and our height. So just to not get confused by me writing width and height in here. So X, Y, width, height. Okay? So let's go ahead and create our open and close curly braces for that. Okay, and let's just say if input string is the same as, and here's that operator that we learned before, the word hello. Eek, here we go. Hello. Num equals 1. So you can pretty much see where I'm going with this. Alright? And the next thing we want to do, and again remember this is all based on us just clicking this button. So if we click this button and it's checking, so we click the button, if input string is equal to hello, which it is, num is assigned 1, and then what we can do is just go ahead and switch num. So within this if statement num equals 1, and then we can just go ahead and switch num. So let's go ahead and, just so we're not using this code, let's go ahead and comment this out. Okay, we'll switch num, and then we'll just say